All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations be unto the Akim, out here pushing this gospel and truth and its sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is the brother Kwana Wath come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Lord will, it is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. As you can see right here, I have Ezekiel, the 11th chapter, verses 16 to 20 pulled up, right? And I really just want to ultimately speak right on the establishment, right, of that second covenant, right, which when you get into it, right, as we're gonna lightly touch on it, right, when you get into the second covenant, right, it comes with new bodies, right, it comes with you know the law, statutes, and commandments, right, being written in our minds, right, so that we will never go off. And see, that's a heavy and very important point that bros, constantly meditate on, right? Never going off again. And that's something that we, highly desire, right? It's a main, meditation point, right? For bros, right? Never going off again, because as we know, right, in Isaiah the 59th chapter, right, that we went off, right? We're constantly, following after the ways of the world, following, after, the flesh. And it ultimately had us walking a path which is contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Which were given unto us by Yahweh Bashim Yahushua through Moses, right? We went off. Therefore, the Lord ultimately turned his back on us. Hence the reason why we are in captivity today, right? As well as the many different captivities that we we're in and out of, right? All throughout history, right? But see, this captivity, this is the worst, man. This is the worst captivity we've ever been in, right? And we've ultimately went off more in this captivity than we have in any other captivity. Or at least in the prior captivities, we knew who we were, right? But in this captivity, there was a very long period of time, right? Generation after generation after generation, we didn't even know who we were as a people, right? Continuously calling ourselves blacks, Negroes, Mexicans, or Hispanics, or Latinos, or whatever, calling yourself Brazilian, you know what I mean? Or calling yourself a Native American or Indian, right? Those are all proverbs and bywords, right? Which is all part of the curses which befell us, right? As soon as we went off, you know? And again, right, we're in the result of us going off even now. Baruch 3 and 8, we are yet this day in our captivity, and we're tired of it, man. Right? We've been through, again, after generation after generation after generation, year after year after year, right, being in captivity and continuously going off. Because you have to understand that we're in flesh, which is subject to sin. So we're constantly going off, even though we're trying now, Yahweh Bashim Shah ultimately woke us up, to this truth through the spirit. Hey, we want to do right, right? We wanna, do what Yahweh Bashim Shah wants us to do, but it's impossible. In this flesh, it is impossible. Let me grab this real quick in Romans, the 7th chapter, Salakia for the long, intro, but this is Romans 7 in verse 14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. Meaning that the things that we don't want to do, right? Like going off and committing sin and so on and so forth. Hey, we do those things because, again, we're in this flesh, which is subject. When you go into that word subject, it goes into under the control of, right? We're in flesh, which is under the control of sin. And when you read in Galatians, the 5th chapter, it talks about that war between the flesh and the spirit, right? This is why the scriptures say to stay in the spirit in that same chapter, right? To stay in the spirit, right, as much as possible, so that you will not fulfill the lust or the deeds of the flesh, because those things will lead to death, right? But following in the spirit, right, it will lead to life. But even though we try to stay in the spirit as much as possible, we still go off, man. And that's something, bros be getting mad, man. Bros be getting upset. Bros be sitting here just frustrated because we're constantly going off. Hence the reason why bros, starting with the elder apostles on down, right? We're constantly telling, and preaching, right, to repent every single day, right? This is not a one-day thing. This is a every single day thing, right? Repentance is from the second you wake up, right, to the second you go to sleep, and even throughout the night, right? Scriptures talk about our spirit, right? Will groan and make intercession for us, right? For the things that we, can't speak, right? That we can't utter, So our spirit is even repenting, man. We're talking about 24/7, every second of every day. We should be repenting, man. Because we're constantly going off. Romans 7:16. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. So again, we're constantly going off, right? And we're tired of it, man, right? And we're waiting, right, for deliverance, right, salvation, right? Because at that moment, right, the establishment of that second covenant, right, is going to take place, right? Which brings me back to my, precept, Ezekiel's 11:16. It says, therefore say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. And see, we see this, right? Starting with, the elder apostles, right, of Great Millstone being rose up, 40 plus years ago, right? Late 80s, 90s, right? The elder bishops, right, after them, and then, coming into the YouTube era, right? 2006, 2007, 2008, right? You had all the elders, right, coming in at that time, man. And you got, at that time, it was various camps throughout the United States, and it exploded to various camps throughout the world, right? GMS UK, GMS Australia, GMS Germany, GMS Italy, GMS Holland, right? GMS Canada, GMS Mexico. You got all these different camps, GMS Tanzania. All throughout the world, you got Great Millstone camps. And see, this is something that's been happening through the Spirit. Baruch, the 4th chapter, right? And gathered together by the word of the Holy One. It's not like, IUIC, right? Bishop Nathaniel and the leadership of the IUIC, where they travel to these different countries and establish a camp, right? Themselves, right? As men. See, this thing, again, starting with the elder apostles of Great Millstone on down, even the Great Millstone affiliates, camps that are not Great Millstone, but yet preach the same doctrine, right? There's growth in that as well, right? All these, the Men of Valor camp, right? The Prophets of Good Works, right? Those are the different camp names as well, right? There's many others, right? Those that aren't necessarily named, or widely known. This is a spiritual gathering that has taken place, man. And see, what's happening is these men are being rose up to do what? To preach this gospel, this good news. And part of that good news is, hey, soon we're never going to go off again. Right? Imagine always being righteous. Imagine always doing the right thing. That's something that bros constantly are meditating upon. I myself personally am constantly meditating on that because I'm so tired of going off, man. I'm so tired of doing wrong. I'm so tired of being punished because I did something wrong. You know, when are we going to be able to do something right and always do something right? And well, the answer to that is soon, man. We have all the different signs, right? Uproars of the people, right? Wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, pestilences, right? You just had a boat, a cruise ship that that people are getting, what is that? Hantavirus, and that's being spread right by rats and shit. So we see all these different signs, as well as the last two major prophecies, right? The MO to the TB, which is the RFID microchip, and then World War III, right? In that order, right? Ultimately, a popping off, man. More and more, Jacob's trouble around the corner, right? The famine, right? A famine of the word, right? As they continue to, attack, social media platforms and so on and so forth, restrict, age restrictions, and, we see that this is coming, and it's coming soon, right? Because after all those things, what? Deliverance, right? Yahweh Shai, pursuant to Matthew, the 24th chapter, sending the angels out to gather the elect. And then what's going to happen? That crowning ceremony, the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then us being returned to our land. See, when we get beamed up into those chariots, that is going to be the second covenant being established, right? The very beginning of it, right? Because these new bodies, the new bodies that we receive, the celestial bodies, they'll never go off. They're not flesh. And that's a part of it, right? I'll continue on. Ezekiel 11 and 17. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord of power, Yahweh Ba'ashem El Shai, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel, right? Being put back in our land. And from there, what? The law of Yahweh Ba'ashem El Shai is going to go forth. Right? What is that? In Micah, the 4th chapter, that the heathen are going to come and say, hey, let's follow after his ways. Right? Let him teach us the law. Roughly paraphrasing, right? You can go and read that chapter yourself, but that's what's going to happen. And we're going to be the standard, right, of living, period. Whereas right now, we're being put to shame. We're looked at as, the bottom of the barrel. Hey, we're going to be on top, man. We're going to be on top. And we'll never, ever go off and lose that spot. Right? We were supposed to be in Baruch, I think it was the first chapter. It tells you that had we, listened, where we would have dwelt in peace forever. But because we went off, hey, we're in this position now. Right? Soon, we'll never be able to go off, which means we'll never be outside of where we're supposed to be. And that's on top. Right? Verse 18, it says, and they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. And I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and I will give them a heart of flesh, meaning that stony heart going into that disobedient mind. Right? The Lord is going to take that out of us. Right? When this flesh gets shed, that stony heart is going to be shed as well. Right? Because ultimately that stony heart is a byproduct of this flesh. Right? Scriptures say the rebelliousness is as a sin of witchcraft. Well, you ultimately don't follow the law, such commandments, and you follow the ways of the world in your own flesh, well, that ultimately produces what? Disobedience, rebelliousness, right? Which is a sin of witchcraft. So therefore, disobedience, right? That stony heart is a byproduct of the flesh. And it says what? And I will give them a heart of flesh, which is that mind to always do what's right. That obedient mind. Right? Which is something we've never, ever had within ourselves ever. This is going to be anew. Right? This is going to be new, uncharted territory for us, man. And bros, Hey, those who truly believe in Yahweh Shem Shai, we can't wait. Now, that's again a figure of speech, right? Don't get simple, you know. Of course, we're going to wait, you know. Scriptures say to wait upon the Lord, you know, but nonetheless, again, a figure of speech. We can't wait, man, because we're tired of going off. We're tired of being in this flesh, right? It says what? That they may walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances, right? Being obedient and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their power. That's right. Right? And this is again, this is you know, desired, man. Right? We're tired of going off. We're tired of being in this position. You know? And soon that's all gonna change. Right? We're at the end of this fucking wicked ass world, man. We just have to continue, you know, to wait upon the Lord. Continue to, you know. Matter of fact, let me grab this. In Hebrews 10, 35, right? It says, cast not away, therefore, your confidence, right? Our faith, which hath great recompense of reward. Right, man? Continue in the faith, man, all the way into the end. And guess what? Lord, will we be part of the elect? That's going to be a reward, right? Having these bodies be shed, that stony heart be shed, the new body being, you know, being had, right, and that fleshly heart being installed. You know, that right there is a glorious reward right there, man. You know, we just have to continue to fight, right? Verse 36, for ye have need of patience, right? And we gotta patiently wait, man. You know, which patience is, you know, synonymous, right, with suffering, and it's a pain in the ass being in this flesh, man. You know, but that's something that we have to deal with, right? We have to bear the indignation of the Lord because we sinned against Him. You know, so we have to wait, right? It says that after you have done the will of the Most High, you might receive the promise. And again, we might, right? We don't know if we're part of the elect, right? But we hope and we pray. Right? It says, for yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry. And Yahushua is on his way, man. Right? All the signs that he gave us to let us know that he's coming, we see him. Right? And they've been going hard, man. We see them. They're here. Right? But as it says right here, now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. But we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul. Continue in the faith, continue to pray, continue to study, continue to do what you need to do to please Yahweh Shem Shai. So that way we can be partakers, right? Having the first dominion with Yahweh Shai, right? Of that, what? The promises in the new covenant, man. You know? It's coming. It's around the corner, man. We ain't got too much longer. You know? Hold fast to that which thou hast, man. This truth. Our faith in Yahweh Shem Shai all the way into the end. So with that, Lord wills, that if I'm Lord, straight to the point, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak Wadash, double honor to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Till next time, I say shalom.